Some things only arrive once in a lifetime, and when they do, you either scroll past or your timeline tilts forever. You didn't land on this video by an algorithmic hiccup. You were magnetized here. Feel that tug under your sternum, the faint hum that whispers, stay. What is about to unfold isn't folklore or motivational fluff. It is code, a living strand of vibration that the ancients guarded like wildfire in a glass jar. When that jar cracks, reality leaks and starts repainting itself around you. That crack is already spiderwebbing through your life. Conversations glitch, numbers repeat, strangers echo your thoughts. If the ordinary now looks tilted, congratulations. Thoth's frequency has brushed your field. Do not try to figure it out. The thinking mind is built for categories, not currents. This transmission bypasses cognition and plugs straight into resonance. Picture a melody you can't recite, yet somehow hum in the shower. That's our level. The scribe god Thoth never lectured with dogma. He carved symbols that ignite only when the soul hits the right spin. Those glyphs aren't ornaments. They're circuitry. Tonight, that circuitry is aimed at you. First truth. The knowledge switching on inside you is older than any scripture that quotes it, older than pyramids, older than memory itself. Precisely because it unshackles, it was muzzled. Picture a wisdom so catalytic it could dissolve every invisible chain, economic, political, psychological, in one generation. How do you keep power if everyone suddenly realizes their power? You hide the user manual, smear the librarians, declare the library dangerous. So the current slid underground. Sufis spun it into whirling dances, cracking the floorboards between flesh and cosmos. Kabbalists mapped it onto the tree of life, each sapphira a capacitor storing divine amperage. Rosicrucians folded it into the rose at the cross's heart, spirit flowering through the wound of matter. This wasn't elitism, it was safeguarding. Handing plutonium to a toddler would be murder. Handing raw creation force to an ego drunk on validation would be just as lethal. The guardians were labeled occultists, heretics, sorcerers, not because they worshiped darkness, but because they refused to outsource light. They repeated a subversive sentence. The kingdom is not above you or beneath you. It is inside you. Any system that feeds on obedience panics at that sentence. History was penned by emperors who outlawed inner sovereignty. They needed you to kneel toward thrones or altars, not toward the pulsing sun behind your ribs. Yet no wall can quarantine frequency forever. Collective evolution turns like a cosmic season, and when the cycle opens, the code resurfaces. If you're hearing these words, your personal equinox is here. You may feel shaky, lightheaded, irrationally emotional. Perfect detox symptoms of an identity about to molt. Let's name the process. Every human broadcasts a signature signal, your personal station on the universal radio. Most people never tweak the dial. They inherit static from parents, culture, trauma. The station murmurs scarcity, fear, comparison, and life faithfully streams matching programs. Overdrafts, ghosted texts, dead-end jobs. But when Thoth's algorithm pings you, it doesn't add new programs. It rewrites the transmitter. Outer chaos isn't proof you're cursed. It's evidence your transmitter is set to the wrong genre. Here is where the crack widens. Once you recognize the static, you no longer fuse to it. Recognition is disidentification. The actor spots the script and gains the option to improvise. That sliver of distance is all the universe needs to slip in a new waveform. You'll feel it as goosebumps in silence, a sudden urge to clear your closet, the sense you're on the verge of remembering something colossal. The mind will scoff, nice vibes, but rent's due. Let it. Mind is a brilliant analyst, but a terrible quarterback. It calls plays already proven in the past. Frequency isn't sourced from data, it's sourced from now. So we practice something wild. We listen with the body instead of the brain. Breathe. Notice the subtle expansion in your chest as these syllables ripple through air. That expansion is your tuning knob. Why did the elders insist on silence before initiation? Because silence starves the mind's addiction to commentary. In hush, dormant codes uncoil. Phrases bubble up like forgotten lyrics. As above, so below, I am that I am, the all is mine. These aren't slogans, they're passwords. They don't unlock a vault out there. They unlock memory in here. Reality is negotiable. Negotiability is threatening. Imagine governments whose laws evaporate if citizens outgrow fear. Imagine markets that can't upsell insecurity. The whole niche economy of not enough would implode. That's why every civilization fields mythic bouncers at the gates of self-mastery. Dogma, ridicule, distraction. Scroll loops are cheaper than prison bars. If you can keep a soul hypnotized by pixels, you never have to burn a book. But your trance is thinning. Note how ordinary life tastes flat, like the seasoning got removed. Shows you loved 3 months ago feel scripted. Friendships built on mutual complaints itch. Even your own bio, job title, relationship status, star sign, hangs like a costume 2 sizes too small. Don't panic. Molting snakes look ragged right before they gleam. You don't have to earn the next skin. You simply stop clinging to the husk. Stop worshiping doubt as humility. Stop waiting for signs louder than the whisper in your solar plexus. That whisper is older than your name. Its language is vibration, its accent, inevitability. Paradox. The code awakens only when the host stops striving for it. Conscious effort vibrates scarcity. I lack the code. I must chase it. Surrender vibrates availability. I am the code. Let memory surface. That doesn't mean inaction, just action from resonance, not hunger. Surfing, not paddling upstream. Ideas land, doors crack, right people text at midnight. Your name popped in my head. Let's talk. Notice none of this is positive thinking. The universe isn't Siri awaiting correct phrasing. It's a mirror calibrating itself to being, not words. When your being hums at the octave of wholeness, electrons, phone calls, and bank accounts rearrange to match. That's physics in a mystical hoodie. So the first right is simple, brutal, liberating. Accept the summons. Write it in your notebook, comments, or the thick air of your room. I receive the code. Not as wishful thinking, but as a timestamp. Proof that tonight, your field clicked. Historians may never study 21st century politics. They'll study vibrational jailbreaks launched in living rooms via screens like yours. You are the data point. From here, the path spirals, like the Sufi dance, the DNA helix, galaxies themselves. You'll circle back to doubt, grief, ego spasms. Each orbit lifts you higher because you spiral up the same column of light. Remember, ascension isn't altitude, it's amplitude, wider resonance, deeper presence, larger coherence. Anchor with a breath. Inhale the possibility that you're bigger than this room. Exhale, I am ready. Feel your palms, your gut, the base of your skull. Sensation is proof of reception. The circuit is live. The awakening call has been answered. The crack is open, and the current has begun flowing in, but now comes the pivot that decides whether you surf the surge or drown in it. Frequency inversion. Up to this point, your nervous system has behaved like an antenna draped in cobwebs, forever gulping signals from parents, headlines, group chats, algorithms. You receive attention, receive frustration, receive the daily drip feed of comparison that the niche economy packages as entertainment. Even when you chase manifestation techniques, vision boards, affirmations, midnight moonwater rituals, notice how you are still asking life to deliver something to you. You remain the consumer, the sponge, the hungry satellite dish. Here's the secret Thoth coded between his silent glyphs. The universe does not elevate sponges. It elevates amplifiers. A sponge soaks, swells, and eventually molds. An amplifier multiplies what passes through and launches it back into the field, brighter, cleaner, charged with intent. Inversion is the moment you stop seeing experience as a meal to be digested and start treating it as raw voltage to be recycled. That doesn't mean renouncing comfort or refusing blessings. It means letting every blessing hit your system, magnify, and radiate outward as a new waveform. Picture your life as an energetic economy. You receive deposits every millisecond. Breath, sunlight, Wi-Fi bars, the cashier's half-smile, the memory of last night's laughter. Most people hoard these microcoins unconsciously, then complain of bankruptcy when drama drains their balance. Inversion flips the ledger. The instant a credit lands, you mark it to be reinvested and push its value back into circulation. Gratitude is the simplest reinvestment mechanism, but real gratitude isn't a polite thanks. It is a pressure wave that expands the original gift so it can't remain the same size. A single inhale becomes an exhale laced with calm that calms the room. $20 received becomes a tip that leaves the waiter glowing for hours. A compliment taken into the heart becomes a sentence you whisper later to someone doubting themselves. This is not moral advice. It is electromagnetic engineering. The human biofield is a torus. Energy pours in from the crown, spirals through the core, and jets out again around the body. When you block the outflow with grasping or self-doubt, the incoming stream clogs. When you open the outflow with conscious giving, the inflow accelerates to keep the circuit balanced. Thoth's law is blunt. Flow seeks coherence. Emit more, receive more. Emit cleaner, receive cleaner. Emit nothing, and the universe treats you as static furniture. Test the principle right now. Recall something you received today, maybe just the taste of coffee. Close your eyes, relive the warmth coating your tongue, and let that sensation swell like sound in a cathedral until it pushes against your skin. Now imagine that warmth hovering over the next stranger you meet. They don't need to know you're doing a vibrational handoff. They will read it as a sudden sense that the world is marginally kinder. You have inverted the flow. Energy that entered as caffeine exits as comfort. Congratulations. You have just run the universe's favorite subroutine. But beware the counterfeit loop. Ego loves to cosplay generosity because the applause feels delicious. You can donate fortunes, volunteer weekends, craft the perfect humble brag caption, and still vibrate scarcity if the hidden motive is validation. The universe scans motives the way airport security scans luggage. If it finds a stowaway called "See How Good I Am," it flags the entire packet. You might still get social rewards, but the deep field stays locked. Synchronicities stall. Money circulates back out as fast as it enters. True inversion happens below narrative, in the silent furnace of intention. So how do you self-audit intention? Practice the still point pause. Before any action, pressing post, swiping card, accepting a compliment, freeze for one breath and ask, am I amplifying life or accumulating brownie points? If amplification is genuine, a warmth will bloom under your sternum and your shoulders will drop. If ego is steering, you feel a pinched urgency. If I don't do this, I'll miss out / look selfish / fall behind. The body is a lie detector wired straight to source. Learn its signals and adjust on the fly. Once the pause becomes habit, scale up. Let inversion invade ordinary routines. Shower not just to cleanse your skin, but to imagine every droplet collecting static anxieties and flushing them into the drain, returning that water brighter to the watershed. Eat not just to fuel muscles, but to charge the soil, farmers, truck drivers embedded in each bite. Send emails with a secret footnote of goodwill. May this project flow smoothly for all involved. You're not virtue signaling, you're frequency seeding. Each mundane act turns into a broadcast tower. Soon you will notice reality morph in 3 tiers. Tier 1, emotional weather. Moods that once swamped you now pass like quick showers because your field metabolizes them instead of hoarding them. People comment, "You're always so centered." They don't see the circuitry, but they feel the barometric shift. Tier 2, relational holograms. Friends either level up their honesty or drift away. New allies appear who treat creativity as currency. Conversation moves from gossip to geometric insight without effort. Tier 3, material choreography. Bills pay themselves through unexpected refunds. Jobs leapfrog. Lost items resurface. None of this is luck. It's the macro echo of microinversions performed thousands of times a day. Think of a guitar amp. Tiny string vibrations hit a magnetic coil, churn through circuits, and roar from speakers strong enough to shake windows. The amp does not create music, it magnifies the musician. When you embody inversion, you become the cosmic amp life strings plucked around you. Ideas, events, personalities gain wattage. People leave your presence energized without understanding why. Markets you touch multiply. Dead projects catch a second wind. You're not hustling harder. You are running a higher voltage. Detractors will call it coincidence, accuse you of privilege, remind you that many suffer despite positive attitudes. They are right. Attitude alone is not inversion. Polishing thoughts while motives rot is painting rust. Frequency inversion is the overhaul of the motive engine itself. When that engine purrs in alignment, structural change follows. You may channel resources into communities, mentor strangers, redesign niche systems from within. Inversion is not escapism. It is strategic voltage deployment. Still, vigilance is vital. The moment you assume, "I've mastered it," ego reboots under a subtler alias. Periodically return to the beginner stance. Receiver first, amplifier second. Keep your intake pristine. Silence, nature, nourishing art. Starve on gossip, doom scrolls, and clickbait outrage. They jam your circuitry. Thoth's tribe scheduled ritual fasts from idle words. You can mimic that with a weekly hour of absolute digital blackout. Watch how the field hums louder afterwards, like clearing lint from a filter. A quick parable. Ancient artisans forged Damascus steel not by adding exotic alloys, but by folding the metal over and over, forcing impurities to the surface so they could be burned off in the forge. You are steel in that fire. Each inversion fold drives hidden fear upward where it vaporizes. The blade that emerges can slice stone because it no longer fights itself. And here lies the flashpoint to the next teaching. Once your field stops fighting itself, it turns reflective. You cease being a spotlight hunting objectives and become a mirror reflecting raw reality. Mirror consciousness is the laboratory where the law of love the other as yourself gets stress tested, because now every face shows you a micropixel of your own frequency. That mirror stage is where we head next. For now, let the circuitry you just installed run a full cycle through tonight's dreams. Tomorrow, watch how even traffic lights seem time for you. That is not delusion, it is resonance mapping. Trust the map. The universe has a sense of humor. Just when you learn to circulate energy like an amplifier, it hands you the trickiest amplifier test of all: other people. Welcome to Mirror Mastery, where every face, headline, and algorithmic suggestion is your own vibration dressed in someone else's costume. Most seekers stall here because mirrors expose wrinkles they'd rather blur. Yet Thoth's wisdom demands unfiltered glass. Until you can gaze at any reflection without flinching, reality cannot fully echo your coherence. Remember the torus we activated through inversion? Energy now flows through you cleanly, but still loops back. Whatever you broadcast returns, holographically projected as circumstance. Friends arrive, radiating kindness, or coworkers mirror your unspoken irritation. Even the customer service rep, who somehow gets you, that's your inner patience waving from across the call center. The phenomenon isn't vanity, it's physics. Consciousness, like light, travels straight until it strikes a surface, then it reflects according to the angle of incidence, your inner angle. Shadow makes that angle wonky. Shadow is any fragment of self you quarantine because it threatens identity. Jealousy you label righteous concern, grief you bury under productivity, desire you baptize as casual interest. These fragments don't vanish, they project. You stuff jealousy, and suddenly the world teems with show-offs rubbing success in your face. You exile grief, and everyone around you seems melodramatic, too sensitive. The mirror isn't punishing you, it's offering integration material. Heal the fragment, and the projection dissolves like fog at sunrise. Integration begins with radical ownership. When irritation spikes, pause the story. That driver is reckless, and claim the vibration something in me is vibrating impatience. This isn't self-blame, it's self-retrieval. By naming the inner frequency, you pull the projection wire back into your field where you can transmute it. Shadow transmutation is alchemy's real furnace, hotter than any outer generosity. It melts identity's rigid shapes, allowing your signal to flatten into pure wavelength. No peaks of pride, no valleys of shame, just coherent amplitude. Loving the other as yourself has nothing to do with forced politeness. It means recognizing the other is yourself, literally, resonantly. When a stranger's laughter erupts behind you, that sound wave pierces your eardrum. Their joy becomes a tremor in your nervous system. Biology proves unity. Spirituality just narrates it. Once you accept that shared circuitry, hostility becomes self-harm. You can still set boundaries. Mirrors don't invite fingerprints, but the boundary is clear without hatred, like a clean pane between gallery and storm. Here's a practical drill. Choose the most aggravating person in your current orbit. The boss who micromanages, the sibling who won't grow up, the influencer whose authentic posts feel staged. List the top 3 traits that provoke you. Then ask, what does that trait live in me, even subtly? Micromanaging might equal your own mistrust of spontaneity. Eternal adolescence might mirror your stuck creativity. The influencer's gloss could spotlight your buried yearning for expression. Sit with the discomfort until you feel a click, a micro-forgiveness of self. Often the external trigger softens within days, sometimes hours. Not because they changed, but because the universe no longer needs the prop after you integrate the script. Of course, some reflections carry real danger. Abuse, manipulation. Thoth never preached martyrdom. A broken mirror cuts. Step back. Yet even stepping back can be loving when framed as alignment instead of punishment. I release us both to healthier frequencies, holds more coherence than I block you forever, villain. The first keeps your field smooth. The second anchors resentment that will just hologram again in a new costume. Mirror mastery flips emotional algebra. Blame becomes curiosity. Envy becomes admiration training. Conflict becomes calibration. Suppose 2 colleagues clash over credit. Old paradigm. Win the argument, prove worth. Mirror paradigm. Notice which parts of self crave validation. Breathe space around them. Then address the project with transparent intent. Let's map tasks so our contributions are clear. The conversation shift from tug-of-war to co-design because your field stopped vibrating scarcity. Some ask, if everything is my reflection, where is personal responsibility for others' pain? The answer is compassion multiplied. Seeing the homeless man as a mirror doesn't dismiss his circumstance. It magnifies your urge to solve systemic cracks because in aiding him, you mend shared fabric. Mirror consciousness scales activism. You don't rush to save from pity. You act to restore symmetry, knowing any tear in the tapestry eventually frays your own thread. As coherence deepens, your life becomes a hall of polished panes. Synchronicities accelerate because the mirrors now align like lasers in resonance labs. You think of an old friend, they text within minutes. You commit to generosity, and a mentor appears offering resources. The universe is not rewarding virtue. It's following optical law. Aligned mirrors concentrate light. Coherence compresses time. But there is a final test before light body activation. Remaining whole amid fragmentation pressure. Society profits from division, political outrage, niche market rivalries, endless comment wars. Algorithms bait you with mirrors painted as enemies. Each click is a vote for separation. Mirror mastery means scrolling past the bait or engaging with surgical compassion. You can disagree vigorously while transmitting respect. Your field lengthens the wavelength of discourse, and sometimes that alone cracks another's rigidity. Technically, what you're doing is phase locking. In physics, 2 oscillators of similar frequency eventually synchronize. A calm heart rate can entrain an erratic one. Coherent brainwaves in meditation rooms entrain visitors. When you radiate integrated frequency, nearby fields entrain spontaneously. This is why people say, I feel grounded around you, or I don't know why, but our meeting was so productive. Their systems borrowed your coherence template. Yet beware spiritual arrogance. If you secretly relish being the high-vibe person, you phase-lock to superiority, and mirrors come strutting to pop that bubble. Critics, trolls, humbling errors. Better to hold coherence lightly, like a torch passed along a dark path. Useful, not egoic. Torchbearers don't brag, they illuminate. Another advanced move, bless in real time. When you notice a lover's insecurity flare, silently broadcast, may you feel whole. This isn't manipulation, it's mirror maintenance. The blessing flows through you first, expanding your own capacity before it reaches them. Even if they can't receive it, your field glows brighter. And should you slip, explode in traffic, gloat at a win, repair quickly. Apology is Windex for mirrors. A swift wipe restores clarity. Thoth's glyphs depict ibis heads gazing into tablets, the original screens. He warned that reflection tech without inner mastery breeds narcissism. Today's handheld mirrors, smartphones, prove him right. Scroll not as mindless receptor, but as discerning reflector. Curate feeds that reinforce unity. Prune those that provoke chronic comparison. Comparison is a distorted mirror, like funhouse glass that stretches guilt, shrinks worth. Stand before flat glass instead. Mentors, scholars, art that uplifts. Flatness here means honesty. What about collective shadows? War, corruption? If reality mirrors collective vibration, are we doomed? Only if we refuse integration. Each personal shadow, cleared subtract from the pool of unconscious aggression. Don't underestimate fractal math. Enough individuals practicing mirror mastery tilt statistical fields. Historical shifts, civil rights, environmental awakenings began as minority coherence amplifying until the majority's reflection changed. Let's crystallize practice steps. Daily shadow check-in. Before sleep, recall the day's strongest emotional spike. Ask, what part of me did that mirror? Journal a line. Integration accelerates when written. Real-time ownership. When triggered, label the sensation, tight chest, burning cheeks, before labeling the offender. This 3-second gap invites alchemy. Silent blessing. 3 times daily, pick a random passerby and radiate well-being toward them. Treat it as field maintenance like brushing teeth. Curated mirrors. Audit your media intake each Sunday. If a channel feeds envy, replace it with one that feeds possibility. Mirrors chosen consciously sharpen calibration. Phase lock labs. Spend time with people who embody traits you admire. Don't idolize, entrain. Your nervous system copies excellence faster than lectures can teach it. Run these labs for 30 days and watch outer life reorder. Arguments shorten, elevators arrive quicker, creative solutions pop like toast. Some results defy explanation. That's okay. The mind's job isn't to understand magic, only to leverage it responsibly. We stand now at the threshold where mirrors cease being feedback devices and become portals. Gaze long enough into a perfectly polished surface and depth appears, an invitation to step through. On the other side lies the light body flow, a domain where manifestation is no longer an effort but the natural shimmer of existence. The furnace of shadow work has tempered your steel. The glass of mirror mastery is spotless. Reality is glass, and you are finally molten enough to pour through it. This is the light body flow, the phase where vibration stops, translating only into feelings, and starts sculpting matter with the same ease wind shapes dunes. You may not see wings in the bathroom mirror, yet your atoms rearrange their choreography. Coherence in the field becomes coherence in flesh. Physicists call it increased biophotonic emission. Cells emit more light when they're orderly. Mystics call it the aura brightening. You just feel like morning's crack open cleaner, as though dawn traded in its old soundtrack for a high-fidelity remix. Time grows elastic. Minutes at the dentist crawl, yet a passion project devours 6 hours in what feels like 10 breaths. That elasticity isn't hallucination. It's the nervous system syncing to source clock rather than cultural clock. When your heartbeat entrains to cosmic rhythm, wall time becomes optional scenery. Manifestation here is no longer a sport of visualization, but a byproduct of coherence. Imagine a symphony hall where every musician finally tunes to A440. The conductor lifts a baton and sound erupts perfect on the first downbeat. That's you and the universe now. Desire rises, not as craving, but as inspired impulse, and the field answers before the echo fades. Need a ride? A friend texts, headed your way. Seeking funds? An old invoice gets paid early. You don't try, you notice. Thoth described this state with the ibis glyph perched on a looping infinity sign. Creation devouring its own tail, forever new yet eternally complete. To live here, you cultivate 3 stabilizers: presence, transparency, and play. Presence is oxygen to the light body. Skip it, and the flow flickers. Presence means eyeballs in reality, not lost in forecast or postmortem. Feel toes while answering email. Taste every sip. Micro-anchoring stabilizes macro miracles. Transparency is the glass wall between intention and action. Hidden agendas warp light. Keep motives clean and photons fly straight. If you're unsure, speak it aloud. Part of me wants applause. Naming the smudge wipes it. Play is lubricant. Children bend probability because they assume life bends. Grown-ups petrify probability with seriousness. So tinker, doodle, flirt with ideas. Play signals the field that you trust the dance. Expect tests, not cosmic midterms, but calibration pings. The deal collapses last minute. You breathe, something richer is forming, and within hours a superior offer lands. Holding frequency through apparent setback is like holding a chord while storm clouds pass. When skies clear, the note still rings, and the audience realizes the music never stopped. Your body becomes HUD. Heart thumps when alignment calls for action. Gut knots when path derails. Obey quickly. Hesitation converts intuition into anxiety. At this stage, intuition isn't luxury. Its GPS muscles tense at false yes. Lungs expand at true yes. Trust the sensors more than spreadsheets. Nutrition shifts from calories to conductivity. You crave living water, mineral-rich salts, foods kissed by sunlight. Processed sludge dims signal. Same with information diet. Doom feeds feel like static. Opt-out isn't denial, it's hygiene. Allow sorrow, but don't marinate in manufactured outrage. You're a voltage source now. Guard the fuse box. Remember the torus? At light body wattage, its donut expands past your aura into rooms, streets, conference calls. Walk into chaos and tension thins. Babies stare, animals approach, streetlights flicker green. A conspiracy of convenience. That's field entrainment at civic scale. Handle with humility. Power used for ego snaps back like a rubber band. Humility keeps circuits open. Sleep becomes lucid workshop. Dreams deliver tutorials. Flying lessons on trust. Subterranean quests on shadow fragments too subtle for waking hours. Keep a notebook. Dawn scribbles often decode into midday solutions. If insomnia strikes, don't scroll. Breathe into heart center. Sometimes the field downloads best in quiet darkness. Currency flows in novel formats. Gift economy, skill swaps, crypto micro tips, even strangers buying your coffee for no reason. Accept gracefully. Giving others a chance to invert their flow completes the circuit. Hoarding generosity stars the system. You may question sanity when coincidences stack. Counter with data. Log synchronicities. Patterns reveal statistical impossibilities, teaching the mind to trust what the soul already knows. Skepticism isn't enemy, it's quality control. But let skepticship audit, not veto. Eventually, identity itself lightens. You still answer emails, care for kids, pay taxes, yet the role costumes feel Velcro, not glue. If one rips away, your essence remains intact. That detachment is freedom, not apathy. It allows you to serve roles brilliantly because fear of losing them no longer scripts your moves. Thoth's final key is stewardship. As coherence magnifies, so does influence. Use it to seed coherence ecosystems. Businesses that reward integrity, art that awakens, policies that honor interbeing. Light body flow is personal, but its purpose is collective. The code entrusts you with luminous leverage. Spend it on uplift. And if storms blow, they will. Unprocessed collective shadow can spawn tempests. Market crashes, social unrest. Your task isn't to levitate above, but to stand as calm eye, broadcasting possibility. In crisis, others glimpse your steadiness and remember their own. Contagious calm is the most radical activism. One day, you'll notice you haven't manifested anything in weeks, yet blessings swamp inbox and doorstep. That's the apex, when doing dissolves into being, and being magnetizes everything needed for the storyline your soul signed up to tell. Then the script spills past personal arc into planetary chapter. Light seeks vectors, you become one. Before we close, inscribe this triple mantra somewhere you'll stumble upon daily. 1. Receive as offering. 2. Reflect as unity. 3. Radiate as source. Chant under breath while tying shoes, waiting for downloads to buffer, stirring soup. It's a firmware patch that keeps light body flow uncompromised. If doubts surface, revisit section 1's crack. The moment you realized reality could mutate. Re-choose that yes. The quantum door never shuts. Frequency is merely a knob twist away. Close your eyes and inhale all 4 sections as if they were seasons cycling in a single breath. Awakening spring, inverting summer, mirrored autumn, luminous winter. Feel them stack like pages, then dissolve into one glowing scroll stored behind your heart. You don't need to remember every metaphor. The vibration has already tattooed itself into fascia and synapse. Over the next 48 hours, watch for subtle confirmations. A random playlist cues a song about light. A stranger compliments your calm. Traffic parts at the last second. Nod in acknowledgement. The field loves a conspiratorial smile. What next? Keep the circuitry clean. 10 silent breaths on waking anchor presence. 1 act of invisible generosity each day sustains inversion. A nightly shadow check wipes mirror smudges. Sprinkle play like confetti. Dance while brushing teeth. Doodle on envelopes. Invent synonyms for mundane objects. A fork can be a food want. These micro-rituals are not chores. They're maintenance pings to a living network that now recognizes your signal. Remember, fatigue, doubt, or anger are not regressions. They're texture. Meet them as weather moving through, not identity returning. Whisper, all parts of me belong, and the storm will pass faster. Should you ever feel the code fading, revisit this script. Read aloud. Let voice vibrate the words back into tissue. Finally, share the resonance. Type, I receive the code, in the comments so frequencies can handshake across oceans of screen glass. Then, if curiosity sparks, click the companion video waiting on your feed. It picks up where this doorway ends, guiding the light body into collective choreography. The gate is already open. All that's left is the next step.